Hey everyone, welcome back. Today we're looking at NIO. NIO hints at 20,000 deliveries in May. The electric vehicle maker NIO is currently live streaming from one of the delivery centers in China. On the last day of May, the company promoted the broadcast on its NIO app with a poster pre-announcing 20,000 units delivered in the month. Now, if I'm not mistaken, that is today when I'm recording this video. In April, NIO delivered around 15,620 vehicles, representing an increase of 134.6% year over year, with deliveries consisting of 8,817 SUVs and 6,803 sedans. Now, this is quite incredible because there is the rumor going around that NIO isn't doing enough. They're not delivering enough. Apparently, their deliveries are not as, impressive as they thought. When you look at a year over year growth, 134.6% year over year deliveries, incredible. And that was in April. Now, here's a statement from NIO Center, and I'll quote: NIO delivers 2W in May, live from the vehicle delivery site. The poster reads with W representing 10,000 in Chinese. The poster was meanwhile adjusted to NIO Delivery Center, so NIO is expecting to officially announce monthly delivery figures on Saturday, June the 1st. The Shanghai headquarter brand had surpassed the milestone only once in its 10-year history when it delivered 20,462 units in July 2023. They did that last year in July. So if they did that this year in June, essentially we're 2 months early. And this is what I meant in my previous videos, in my previous NIO delivery videos. I was simply stating the obvious that with NIO, they've started out a little bit slow for the year, but they are accumulating at a great speed. And I focused on last month figures and I focused on the quarter. Now, on the other hand, we've got NIO stocks. NIO shares surged by 9.53% on Thursday to $5.40 per share, reducing its year-to-date loss to 40%. As of the time of writing, the stock is trading 3% lower during the pre-market session. At a media event held in Amsterdam last week, William Lee announced that the brand plans to enter the UK market probably next year. Now, like I said previously, I actually considered that it would be this year they're entering the market in the UK with the ET5, but apparently I was wrong. There might have been some delays with that, or perhaps they always planned originally to enter the market in 2025, not 2024. But also, NIO is preparing to expand its European lineup with the introduction of its flagship sport utility vehicle, the EL8, originally launched in China in late 2022. So this is a look at that. NIO to launch the flagship SUV. This is the EL8 in Europe on June the 13th, so we're not too far away at all. This will be their flagship sport utility vehicle, originally launched in China in late 2022. So I think they've probably figured out a few things and now they finally decided, yes, it's time we bring this vehicle to the European region. Now, to take it back a little bit further to explain a few things, there was some legal battles between Audi over trademark rights to the ES naming convention for its SUV models in Europe. Due to this problem, the lawsuit and everything, NIO will name the European version of the ES8 as the EL8, mirroring the strategies adopted for its smaller SUVs, the EL6 and EL7, introduced in Europe last year. The revamped EL8 unveiled NIO's annual event in December 2022, boasts two motors with a combined peak power output of 480 kilowatts, propelling the vehicle from 0 to 100 kilometers in 4.1 seconds. Now, this would make a lot of sense with this lawsuit between NIO and Audi. It would actually make a lot of sense why NIO would perhaps delay this vehicle being introduced into the European region. Possibly because of that lawsuit, possibly because of the naming conventions, they had to figure a few things out. Now, the model marks a shift towards its second platform and arrive in the Chinese market in three distinct versions: the Standard Model, Executive Edition, and Signature Edition. In its home market, all the new ES8 starts at 498,000 RMB, equivalent to $68,700. And 63,500 euros, while the most upper version starts at $82,500. NIO plans to stage a coordinated launch event for the EL8 across its showroom in Germany, with the date set for June 13, according to information on the NIO app. As pioneers in the premium intelligence electric vehicle market, we are thrilled to unveil a new product on June the 13th. So this will be that product coming to the European region, and that's quite exciting. So the launch event will be held simultaneously at 6:30 p.m. local time at NIO House in Berlin, Frankfurt, and Dusseldorf, as well as the NIO Hub in Munich as well. So that is quite a move for NIO, of course. Let me know if you're excited for NIO to be launching this vehicle in the European region. Let me know, what vehicles do you want from NIO in the European region? Me personally, this is that vehicle that we'd like to see in the European region from NIO. The ultimate vehicle. I mean, I'm not even entirely sure if this vehicle has a straight competitor yet, except for perhaps the BMW i7 or 7 Series, perhaps the Mercedes S-Class. Even the Mercedes S-Class compared to this, they're a bit different. This is bigger for sure. This is higher off the ground. This is trying to give you something that the Mercedes S-Class can't. But perhaps NIO's most popular vehicle is the ET7. This is perhaps NIO's most popular vehicle, and the ET9 will follow suit. Now, this vehicle is more comparable to the Mercedes S-Class and E-Class to a certain extent, but this outclasses the C-Class, if I'm being completely honest. You could compare the NIO ET5 to possibly a Mercedes E-Class or C-Class. It's more competitive in that area. But you can see that the NIO ET9 is just a completely different genre. It's a completely different orientation of what vehicles are supposed to be. So this is the vehicle that I sat in Goodwood, and I was amazed by the luxury of this vehicle. I was amazed by the simplicity, by the comfort, just everything. And the exterior, interior, everything. And this is the vehicle that should be coming to the UK first. This is what I was told when I saw the vehicle at Goodwood. I was told that this vehicle will make it to the UK first, and I was told it would be this year, but apparently it's looked like it's being pushed back for next year, 2025. Okay, not a problem. I just want my test drives. I just want my experience. I just want to walk into a NIO store and video everything for the experience. Because as NIO develops, understand something, we're going to be able to see the construction of NIO swap stations in the UK, NIO charge stations in the UK, NIO stores in the UK. I mean, it's an exciting step. I don't live in the EU. I don't live in the EU region, so I don't live in Germany, and I don't live in Amsterdam. I don't get to see all of that. But if this all starts happening in the UK, I'll get a first eye experience of watching the development of the NIO brand advancing slowly throughout the European region. And that's exciting for all of us, because especially if we're all shareholders, then we're incentivized, to help this brand propel forward. So on other NIO news, China gears up to make a deal with Europe as EV tax looms. China gears up to make a deal with Europe as EV tariffs loom. Yes, it's getting a little bit out of hand, if you could say. The European Commission expected to move hiked tariffs on Chinese electric vehicles, set to kick off around talks that Chinese executive hopes will soften the blow for the world's biggest EV industry. The provision tariffs, expected to be announced by June the 5th, will be a sticker stock representing $1 billion in new cost electric vehicles, Chinese electric vehicle makers. But both Europe and China has reasons for wanting to strike a deal. China's EV industry needs profitability export to the world's third largest economy to counter falling margins at home. While German automaker wants to access the Chinese auto market and EV partnerships to drive costs down. Every addition 10% in European Union tariffs on top of the existing 10% levy would cost China's EV exporter about $1 billion based on 2023 trade data. That cost will grow this year as EV makers expand exports to Europe. Past EU subsidiaries' investigation on imports from China of other products have resulted in extra duties ranging from 9 to 26% for companies cooperating with the investigation. Analysts see EV tariffs broadly in that range, The duty would be imposed from early July that could apply retrospectively for the 3 prior months. China has signaled it is ready in its alternative for bargaining again. The EU provision duty could be challenged or even dropped off. A large amount of shares of EU governments oppose them after 4 months. The China Chamber of Commerce, the EU, a trade group, said last week Beijing was considering hiking tariffs on large engine cars imports to 25%. China has also floated the idea of lowering tariffs on EU auto imports to 10 from 15 to two people with a knowledge of matters said. The European Commission has warned BYD, SAIC, and Geely that they did not provide enough information in response to the investigation of subsidies. This could clear the way for higher tariffs on those companies, a reference that will use to levy the rest of the industry in China. So this is very interesting that we've got an idea that BYD, SAIC, and Geely, apparently they haven't provided the information that they're requesting. This is very interesting, of course, because what they're essentially trying to prove is that the lowering of Chinese car prices, if this is being enabled by Chinese subsidiaries, then this tariff could be really bad. But how exactly do you prove something like that? Because, Chinese subsidiaries are somewhat like a loan. Of course, the Chinese would provide subsidiaries to their own companies, to their country's companies, because, it is boosting one economy. Because all of these Chinese companies will benefit China in return. So of course, Chinese is supposed to provide them with loans and supports and subsidiaries. So I never really understand the idea. If the vehicles are safe, if the vehicles are reliable, if the vehicles are what customers want, then if the vehicles will provide a cleaner environment for everyone, I really don't understand the argument about these companies. I mean, I understand the argument, but I just don't like it. It's trade politics, and that's what it is. So the European decision would come after the United States quadrupled tariffs on Chinese EVs to 100%, a move Tesla Elon Musk denounced after previously warning Chinese automakers were on track to demolish most other car companies. Tesla, the largest EV exporter from China, also faces threat of higher EU tariffs. So you see, even Tesla doesn't like these because Tesla builds a lot of cars in China and they export some of those vehicles. So even for Tesla, they're like, wait a minute, this could affect us as well. Okay, we don't like this deal. We don't like these high tariffs. This could really impact us negatively. Of course it could. Of course it could, and it most likely will. So, I think these countries need to play friendly because at the moment they need each other desperately. Because China could also be like, okay, we're going to raise price on European car makers. This includes Aldi, Mercedes, BMW, Porsche, Lamborghini, Ferrari. The list goes on. Even though Italy might not have anything to do with this tariff, they're like, it doesn't matter. A lot of these companies, especially the German and French car brands, if you want to start a trade politics with China, the Chinese are going to hit back and they're going to hit back hard. And maybe for some of these companies like BMW, Mercedes, Volkswagen, maybe China only accounts for maybe, I don't know, 5% of their market, maybe less. But it's probably a crucial percentage because they probably have a market share in that market that they don't want to give up. If the European companies are forced to give up their market share in China, who will the Chinese people turn to? They will turn and buy NIO, Geely, BYD, XPeng, Li Auto. The list goes on because there's so many competition in China. They will turn to their own companies. So it will benefit those Chinese companies a little bit. But if you give up market share in China, then it's going to be hard to reclaim, especially the way how things are going right now because it's so competitive over there. It is very difficult for even Tesla to compete in China. And that is Tesla. So this will only continue. European automakers have teamed with newer Chinese EV makers to bring EVs to market more cheaply and quickly. Volkswagen and BMW in April pledged more than $5 billion to expand research and production in China. Now, if I'm being completely honest, this does not surprise me. Because like I said, these companies like BMW, Volkswagen, they do not want to give up their market share in China. They will do whatever it takes to hold on to said market share. It is very important for their business. So what really needs to happen is that a lot of these countries just need to play nicer with each other. How can they both benefit? And I think ultimately this is what this will fall down to. All of these tariffs, it's all BS. For Europe right now, it's all about, okay, China, you want to sell cars here, but how will it benefit us? Okay, it's going to provide us with cleaner air for our citizens. Okay, great, but we want more benefits. And this is how European countries are made to think. It is maximize your benefit as much as possible. That's how European countries think. Maximize your benefits always. Especially in business, especially in this sort of business where its market share is so important. Okay, you want to benefit from the European region, you really need the European region to sell your cars. Pay the tariff, or we can play friendly and we can both benefit in a way that's more comparable. So like I said, it's trade politics. It is, isn't it? But there's a lot more to go through in this article. I might use it for another video. I do hope you've enjoyed this video. Thank you for watching. Subscribe to see more. Leave a like, leave a comment, and I will see you in our next video. Peace.